Hey, this is a 9.5 minute video with some plays from last Saturday's game, just some things that we can work on as a team just to get our game to another level. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to watch this with your son, and I hope that you find it helpful. This is our right defenseman here, and our right defenseman's way over. When that happens, you really need your left defenseman, who in this case is Gavin. He needs to see that his partner's kind of on his side, and he needs to go and switch. And he needs to get into this area so that this guy here doesn't get an open look. So as you watch this play out, you're going to see our two defensemen get stuck in the corner, and that's a real dangerous scenario. Once again, there's no center in sight, so you got this guy wide open in the sweet spot. Luckily it was a younger player because this guy ends up making a good pass, and the kid kind of whiffs on it. But most teams, if that's a decent player, it's going to end up in the back of the net. So in this case, it was really important that our left defenseman switch and get to this spot instead of going and double covering this guy here, because I don't think anyone's ever scored from this spot in the history of time. But right here, you see goals all the time. So luckily, like I said, he whiffs on it, and we live to fight another day. This is a great opportunity right here where I was hoping our centerman would pass this. You see Jason kind of coming up free up front there, and what ends up happening, we got a nice team to pass it to, but I think he was looking more for the shot, and he ends up putting himself into a position where he tries to shoot and doesn't get the ball through. But there's an opportunity there to make a pass right there. You just kind of lift that up over the stick or hit it between the two sticks, and then you can put your guy in all alone there. So just always want to be looking pass first, because you can set up a lot easier shots, a lot easier goals when you do the pass first mentality. But to pinpoint him doing something wrong is hard to do, because he's a great player and he just does the right thing all the time. But in this case, I don't think he ever took a look up to see what he was shooting at. He's kind of focused on the ball, and you see his head's down all along. And what you see here is just almost like the Red Sea parting. You see the bodies kind of get out of the way, and there's just nothing but empty net there. A lot of net to shoot out. Really an easy goal for someone like Jason, but he never really looks, and he ends up shooting wide right. And it's something that our kids need to get, as hard as it can be sometimes when that ball's moving around, especially if it's bouncing around. Got to take your eyes off it for a second, see what's going on in front of you, and you might have a real clear path like you do there. That's a lot of net to shoot at, and we end up missing an opportunity there. And so this is something where, if you look here, Christian, good hustle play here, gets to the ball, and he's got a couple things that he could do here, right? He could kind of swing it around backhand and get it to Jason, give Jason a nice scoring chance, kind of coming in from the side. Or what even better, you got a defenseman right here. I would have loved to have seen him tap it back to our defenseman, trying to encourage the kids to get it back to our point. We didn't do much of that this game. So he had Alex kind of back here, and he had Jason over here, but instead he just kind of does like a blind pass right to their guy, and kind of sends them going the other way. So, once again, like we looked at earlier with Jason, where he just kind of focused on the ball and didn't look at what was going on around him. It's important that our kids look before they leap, so to speak. All right, so, and you see this a lot of times in hockey, where a player will settle for a bad angle shot, which has kind of very little chance of going in. If you were able to see from the blade of Harry's stick, like the point of view from his blade right here, there's really not much net to shoot at, right? The goalie's in perfect position. There's just not much to shoot at here. Decent scoring chance that goes away. What I'd like to point out is the opportunities that he had. There's two things he could have done that would have been better in this situation. Now, their defenseman does a really good job. So the first thing you want to look at if you're Harry is the slot and see where Jason is. And Jason's well covered by number 6 here. So no use passing to Jason, but you're going to see Christian trailing behind, and there's like a nice pocket of space around him. And if Harry's able to pass it back to Christian here, wait till you see how much net Christian would have had to look to shoot at here. So right there, at this moment, if Harry passes it back to Christian and says shooting, look at what Christian's looking at in terms of net compared to what Harry's looking at. So you see there how big of a difference there is. And if Harry can get that ball back to Christian, if Christian can get that shot on net, that's almost a guaranteed goal. Let's see here. Thomas makes a nice play initially here. He's able to block that pass that's trying to go into the slot. And Thomas is able to block that, which is great. And then Thomas gets there and does well again, kind of beats the guy to the ball. But once again, he's not looking before he leaps, and he ends up sending it like a perfect pass to the other team. It couldn't have been more perfect. In that situation, if you can just take a glance up, and see I think he's got a guy here throwing right here that he could have passed to, or it's always safe in that situation to try to hit it off the wall. You'll usually get it around this guy if you just hit it off the wall. So it's a shame Thomas made a couple good plays there, and then the end result is them getting a clean shot from the point, and luckily the guy ends up hitting his own player in the back of the legs. All right, this next play here, this is I think this is a great play actually. Boy, oh boy. So check this out. This is kind of a good example from what we talked about before, where he's kind of wide, doesn't have any angle. He's actually behind the net, and he takes it and he goes around, and there's that guy in the high slot, just like I was suggesting before, where Harry could have hit Christian if he whipped around the back of the net. And Jason does a really good job of feeding Harry. Now, the one thing I would have liked Harry to do here is to one-time that. Instead of stopping it, by the time he stops it, settles down the ball, the defense is on him, and they're able to block that shot. But especially on the deck rink, this ball's coming really smooth. No need to settle that. Just one-time that. You see there's a lot of net to shoot at if he one-times it, and nobody around him. But by the time he stops it, settles it, now the goalie's in position, and the defense is square. So this is a great play. Great pass by Jackson here, getting it up. And what I wanted to point out here, this is a good thing. I love the way Jason receives the pass. You see here, he doesn't like stop it and the ball starts bouncing around. He kind of softly receives the pass, so he's able to take it and go. That's just perfect way to receive a pass right there. And he's able to go in, and I love what he does here. He takes that shot, and all game long we were talking about the goalie was having a hard time with rebounds, hard time finding the ball, and Jason's able to follow his shot, pounce, and scores maybe the biggest goal of our year. This was about a minute 43 left in a 1-0 game, and he ends up popping in to tie the game. So a couple great things here. First of all, great pass by Jackson, great pass, and then a great receiving of the pass by Jason, and then he takes it in, follows the shot, pokes that in. A great job, too. I want to point out the referee on this call. A lot of referees are going to blow that play dead, even though it's loose. And the young referee does a great job. You see him right here in not blowing that whistle too soon, because that would have been a real backbreaker if we would have lost that goal because of a referee's mistake. And I would say 9 times out of 10, the referee blows that call. And usually it's the older refs that blow that call. The younger refs, this kid's 14, and he's doing a great job. I think here. So Thomas kind of gets beat initially, and he comes back, he fights back, and he hacks. And then we've got Jackson Walsh. It's really a good battle. That looks like, I think Harry comes in and helps back check there, and then we're able to get that ball loose and free from these guys, and that's some really good work there. Follow the shot, go in. He follows that shot. He gets to the rebound. I love how he just does this like one-hand backhand. He doesn't need to make it pretty or crush this. The ball's just sitting there ready to be popped in, and he pops it in with 23 seconds left, and we win the game. So just a little instructional video I wanted to share with you guys. Great work this weekend, but always room for improvement. Hey, if you've made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you. Thanks for taking the time to work with your son and just take a look at some of the things that we can work on getting better at as a team. Each player in this team has room for improvement, even though we are doing very well. But we're going to have to get better in order to be the best, because right now there's a couple teams, one in particular, that's really running away with things. So we need to catch up and chase that team down. So we're going to do whatever we can, including things like this, to make that happen. So if you got the end of this, thank you again, and do me a favor, send me an email and use the code word Super Bowl 52, and I'll know that you did your homework, and I'll be grateful. Thank you.